bum bum. Rum diddy dum diddy dip 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 bum bum. You wanna rum diddy dum diddy dip bum bum. You wanna rum diddy dum diddy dip bum bum. You wanna rum diddy dum diddy dip bum bum. You wanna run diddy run some bum. You wanna run diddy dip bum bum. You wanna shish.
Run diddy dun diddy dip bum bum. 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 You wanna run diddy dun diddy dip bum bum. You wanna run diddy dun diddy dip bum bum. You wanna run diddy dun diddy dip bum bum. You gotta run diddy dun diddy dun dun. You wanna run diddy dun diddy dip bum bum. Wanna run. Wanna run.
This is my shot, and girl, you got a ticket to move or a ticket to move down. Go to the Roscoe, down to the Roscoe, rum diddy dum round the room. So honey, how you doing? So honey, how you doing? Now honey, what you doing? I like the way you do it. What?
Hot now, you're so good. I can't control ya. No, my shot is all or none. Gotta run till you're done.
Come on.
We can link up on the weekend. We can keep it secret for no reason. We can pretend we can be friends even though I'm thinking when I see ya, but I'm speechless.
Clean boys and dirty girls.
Welcome to the Sweats.
The Sweats and Steve Show.
A feel-good podcast.
Seems like you guys have fun on there. It's pretty cool.
All together now.
It's easy.
Make sure you like, share, and subscribe.
To sweats and become a clean one today.
Have a nice day.
Sweats.
And I'm Steve.
I used to be an average, ordinary guy. So one day a pair of magical glasses fell from the heavens and gave me the powers and rhythms of an electronic future. Now with my glasses and my cousin Steve,
I just like to be on the internet.
we're ushering in the future electronic.
Sweats.
Steve, this is the Sweats and Steve Show. Yes, 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 yes. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sweats and Steve Show, episode number 54. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another very special episode, the very first episode of 2024. And we have a very, very special guest with us today. We said in 2024 we were going to do more interviews. We're going to get more interesting, exciting people to join us here on the show. And me and Steve have fulfilled that need. Without further ado, I have prepared a little nice little monologue. If I can get the full screen, can I get the full screen? Steve, you think I deserve the full screen?
I think you deserve the full screen.
All right. Wait, I don't know how to do that with the new setup right now. Okay,
That's an important piece.
Okay, wait, hold. Can I solo? Oh yeah, look at that! Isn't that nice? There's a lot of new people that are watching the Sweats and Steve show, and they get to see my visage right now. Okay, here we go. Today we have a very special guest for our viewers as we talk to him with a man whose notoriety goes far and beyond past the frigid shores of Lake Michigan. Okay, there you go. A man who in a moment of spontaneity jumped into the depths and came out as a new man with a new lease on life that would go on to inspire others. He's a family man, a rocking man, a Chicago man, and without a doubt, a jumping man. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to welcome to the show Dan O'Connor, aka the Great Lake Jumper. Welcome.
Welcome.
All right. Get another round of applause for Dan. Thank you. From the lovely Sweats and Steve Clean Nation, as we like to call them. Dan, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good.
All right. Well, we like to welcome you here to the show, the Sweats and Steve show. And Clean Nation is like what we call our fans. I'm sure welcome you two as well. Just to give a little bit of a backstory as to why you're here today. I was we said last year when we were thinking of ideas for the show that we wanted to get more of our kinds of people. Okay, a very special kind of people that we like to get on the show. Very interesting people. We've had Steve. We've had psychic mediums. We've had paranormal investigators. We've had
alien enthusiasts.
We've had morticians. We have had people who practice in the occult arts.
Yeah.
And confidence coaches. That's a big
right.
thing too.
That's right.
And so, and want in this effort to find more people to join us and have interesting conversations, I stumbled across your videos on Twitter. It was during, I think, when it was way below freezing was when I had come across your videos. I saw you jumping in there. Your front flips, me and Steve were talking about it before the show started. Your front flips are amazing, I must say. Okay? All right. Okay. Yeah. I'm a brag about you a little bit, okay? But anyway, I came across your videos and I thought, wow, that is very interesting. I would never, I won't say never, but I don't immediately have the heart to do what you do, to jump into the lake, even at times when it's freezing. And I thought to myself, wow, that's really incredible. So that's why I decided to reach out to you. And there's definitely you have a story. You have a very interesting story to tell, and it comes through your jumps. And I'm thank you again for coming on to the show. We're glad to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes.
Definitely, for sure. Well, we kind of wanted to figure out what's the origin story behind what you do. And we'll pull up some videos as well from your Twitter to kind of show people what we're talking about. But give us some of the origin story behind the Great Lake Jumper. Can you do that for us?
Yeah, sure. In the summer, June of 2020, I was extremely hungover. I tried to drain my friend's bourbon collection the night before. And it was a terrible time. It was politics and the pandemic and protests were happening. And just there wasn't a lot of positive things happening. And I was not having a good day around the house. And my wife told me to get on a bike and go jump in the lake. And she's always got good ideas. So I did that. I went down there and just looked at downtown, rode my bike to Montrose, and it was just an amazing kind of rediscovery. It was the middle of June, so it wasn't like it was really cold or anything. And it just became part of my daily routine, going down to the lake and just finding some peace and some calm and blocking everything else out, all the negative vibes that were happening during the pandemic. And so, yeah, that's what I started doing. And then next thing I knew, it was, 7 weeks later, it was, 50 days. And then, I think after about 50 days, I figured out how to shoot a video. So it was a shoe cam for a long time. Or there was no video for like the first 50 days because I was riding my bike down and playing tunes on my iPhone, and I would just, the soundtrack was, my iTunes or, whatever, Spotify playlists. And then, it started to get colder, and my friend tipped off Block Club, and Block Club came out and covered the story, and that kind of kicked it off. So that was November of 2020. And I'd been jumping in 150 days in a row.
And what is Block Club for those who aren't in Chicago that are?
Yeah, sure. Block Club is a local blog, a local news organization, and I've found that they've covered my story a couple times, and some of the big boys have followed suit after they've covered it. So they're on the beat on the local scene.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So I want to take it a step back because as we watch this video, these are not normal flips, right? These are the flips of somebody who has been doing this for a very long time, and not specifically jumping in the lake, but somebody. So when did you learn how to do these flips and these jackknifes and belly flops? Is this something you were doing since you were a kid and you mastered, or how did that come about?
Yeah, just always loved the water, and the summer growing up was spent at Camelot Park in Arlington Heights. So I'd ride my bike over there, and I'm one of 7 kids, so we'd all go over there at times, and just I always they had a diving pool at that time, so that was had 2 or 3, I think 3 diving boards, and just I don't know if I ever had any formal training, just trying to do as many flips as I could. And
there you go.
And when I first started in 2020, the lake was very high, and so the deck was was covered with water a lot. Yeah. And so there was a ton of algae. So the first year, the first 6 months, it was me walking like an 80-year-old man, 6-inch steps, and then going into the water. And then, I don't know, maybe 6, 7 months in, I saw someone else do a flip, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if I could still do that. And I did. And now that the lake is lower like that, it's easier for me to propel my squatty body into a flip.
Well, you could have fooled me because you could probably do a front flip better than I can. I'm gonna be honest with you. Damn.
I can't do a front flip at all. I can do a somersault, and that's about it.
Yeah. Well, that's about all I got. I got a dive. I got a sailor dive. I got the jackknife, and the flip. The back flip. I've tried the back flip, and the last time I did, I felt my abdominal lining was close to shredding. So I've been staying away from that one.
That's great.
I would be concerned if you're like, for instance, this video, if you were to do a backflip, I would be concerned that, that you might backflip onto the back of your head. And, that might be one of your last jumps.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of people worried about me for, for decades, beyond me jumping in the lake.
But you're still doing it. You're still at it.
Yeah, like I said, I found some peace down there, and to go down there and, knowing, especially in the winter, that it is a dangerous situation that, blocking everything else out and just concentrating on the task that here I am. I'm going to jump in and then get back to the ladder.
Definitely.
So how many jumps do you do? Is it literally just like I go out there, I jump once, and then I'm heading back?
When it's extremely cold, that's the case. I'm sure I'm not doing social media correctly because because I'm an old man, and I try to do a different jump for Twitter and Instagram.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm probably doing it incorrectly, but I always and when I saw people who were on both those platforms and they had the same content, I was always like, "What's the point? You should have something different for a different platform."
Definitely.
So, I think I jumped in 3 times this morning.
Well, one thing that I had was talking to Steve about as well, because like I think it was last week where we had like way sub freezing temps to the point where parts of the lake were freezing over. You did go in, you did jump that when it was like that, right?
Yeah. No, I bring a shovel down, and that's, the first 6 months I rode my bike, and then I started driving just because I needed a shovel to break, to hack a hole in the ice to go in the water. So, yeah. So, and I'm not the only one down there. There's a lot of people that have, taken to jumping in the lake and enjoying the effects of that.
Well, that brings me into another thing that I wanted to bring up as well. To bring your attention to this video, it seems like you're jumping in with the jacket. Now, does the jacket really does it truly make a difference when you're jumping into that cold of water, or what's the rationale behind that? I'm curious. You're a professional at
Yeah.
jumping in the water, so I want to hear from your own words. Your
Sure.
technique, the method behind the madness. Okay.
So I do have it's called a flotation jacket. And I found it at a thrift store. I thought it was a windbreaker with a nice crest on it. And I pulled it off the rack, and it has 2 inches of foam in the front and back. And so it on really kind of harsh, rainy, harsh, windy, wavy days, it is something that I've taken to using just for safety, for precaution, to at least I float in it. So where you saw me there, the first winter in 2021, the ice froze over for the first time. It looked like it was real thin. I was so excited. I was like, I'm going to break through the ice. It's going to be cool. And I dove through it, and I got back in the car. I got out, I dried off, I got back in the car. I'm driving home, and I'm like, there's kind of a cut on my knuckle. A cut on my hand. And I got home, and I had about, I would say, 20 to 30 kind of cuts, scratches, scrapes all over my torso.
Oh, wow.
So the ice forms like shards, and it may look cool, but even just bumping into it at if you're in the water and bumping into ice, it's not a pleasant feeling. So try to avoid the ice.
I already got a nickname for you. Okay. Stuntman Dan. What do you think about that? It has a nice little ring to it, I must say. But yeah, that was the question that I definitely had. But yeah, kind of going back as well, one of the things that kind of jumped out at me, or at least that kind of had a striking resemblance. You've obviously seen Forrest Gump, haven't you?
I saw it on Thanksgiving a couple of years ago for the first time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not much. I'm not one to sit still that long.
Oh yeah,
so, movies. I got a lot of catching up to do on movies.
Well, do you by chance remember the part of the movie when he just started running?
I saw it so I was probably about 6 months in when I saw that, and I'm like, oh, some people had mentioned Run Forrest Run, and recently I'm like, okay, now Now I get a little bit more of the concept.
Well, basically, Forrest just up and decides one day, I'm just gonna run across the country and just keep going till he just felt like running, right, Steve?
Yeah, he just felt like running. Yeah.
So I think originally when I saw your vids, I saw like this man is just jumping just because he wants to jump, and there's something pure about that. Just doing something just because. That I thought was really provocative. It really touched me. It really inspired me, Dan.
I don't think provocative is the right word.
Well, provocative to provoke an emotion, provoke a feeling. Come on, Steve. Don't embarrass me in front of Dan. I know I don't.
I'm just saying. I don't.
Well, like, did I inspire you to jump in yet, Sweats?
Yeah. Well,
when I was writing some stuff that I wanted to ask him, I said such sultry content, and I was like, I don't think sultry content's what I want to refer to it as. That's not the right thing.
Well, sultry, I guess, because we had spoken on the phone before, Dan, just to get kind of get a little, like touch base and familiarize with each other and stuff like that. So from initially starting their jumps, what has kind of grown from that? Like, obviously you probably have made tons of connections, whether that be friends, acquaintances, like from since you started. Like, tell us about how you said like how it became a therapy for you.
And, I mean, I think during the pandemic, when all of the music clubs and that they were closed, and my outlet for entertainment has been for years is going to see live music, and that was taken away, and it was a real depressing time for me. It was a depressing time in America, and there wasn't a lot of positive things happening, and just going down to the lakefront, and I could clear my mind and find some moments of zen down there. And it's free, it's easy, it's close to my my home. And I think just being thankful for our forefathers who reversed the flow of the river to save the lakefront, to keep the lakefront clean. That's an amazing feeling that these guys who are much smarter than me and much older than me, that they figured out a way to preserve our lakefront. And people don't realize how big the Great Lakes are. It's 20% of the fresh water in the world, and put that in your mind. And we have to do everything we can to preserve them and protect them.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of which, I think one of the things that because I know Sweats was talking about, trying to get you to set a world record, which when we were looking at it, what's the most consecutive days anyone has ever, jumped into a large body of water. There's no record for that. So that one's really easy to set for you, given the existing time that you have. But there is one about the Great Lakes. And I think it's the first person to jump in all 5 Great Lakes is at 8 hours and 51 minutes. Like, all right. I think where they like go around to all the Great Lakes and whatnot, and just jump in and do what you're doing. There is one for that. And I think you can demolish that one. I think you can really do it. If we set up some type of transportation system with helicopters and buoys and boats and jet skis, I think we can do it.
Yeah, well, I'm all for it. And I think that's one of the other things. Kind of the first big milestone I had was after Thanksgiving, people started telling me, "Oh, you've got to stop. It's the winter. It's cold. It's Chicago. It's Lake Michigan. It's a Great Lake. You can't do that." And when people start telling me I can't do things, that's definitely when I dig my heels in and start, yes, I can. So I took on that attitude, and then I, celebrated day 365 in June of 2021, 365 days in a row, jumping in to Lake Michigan. And just leading up to that, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have a party on this day, because it'll be 365 days. And it was a nice day. The night before, the mayor Lightfoot, she repealed the capacity restrictions, and we had a nice gathering out at the lake, probably about 300 people out there, and it was pretty special day out there. But I knew I was going to leave Chicago. I had been in Chicago for 365 straight days, and we all get out of town and stuff and do stuff, and the pandemic forced us to stay at home, and so I decided when we were going to drive out to Massachusetts for a family vacation, and I'm like, all right, let's, I'm going to jump in Lake Erie in Buffalo, and I'm going to jump in Lake Ontario in Rochester, New York. And, we're driving, and, I ended up jumping in both of those, and that was pretty fun. And then in October of 21, I went up to Superior and Huron to finish the Great Lakes. So, I've jumped in a lot of different places, but Lake Michigan is home, and it's so great, just so refreshing, and no salt, and it's clean, and it's all good.
I say this to be funny, and I hope it comes off as funny. But the car ride to the different lakes, because you are a family man. Is it like you're driving and you're like, hold on, we're an hour away from Lake Huron, and everyone's yelling at you, Dad, stop it already. And like they're like, no, we're not gonna stop, Dad. You're like, wait, and you're just sitting there yelling at them, we're gonna stop, I gotta keep it going. This is Lake Huron.
Yeah, no, it wasn't really that pleasant. We weren't really getting along. I think everyone was raising their voice when we were trying to figure out where we were going. We were close in Lake Erie and in Buffalo, and we were like, we really didn't know exactly where we were going, and it felt like we took wrong turns, and everyone was yelling that we're going the wrong way, and it worked out all right. It was a slow news day in Buffalo. ABC, CBS, and NBC local news showed up to see me jump in Lake Erie.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I think one other thing that kind of to note is, I keep saying that it was a dark time, and, it was depressing, and, I was depressed because I couldn't go out to see music, and my wife knew that, and she suggested that I start inviting musicians out to serenade me as I jumped in the lake. And so that started 3 years ago. So in in January of 21, and I've had over 100 musicians come out, and I think a lot of them at that point, there were no stages for them to play. And so just even to scratch that itch for them to come out and play one or two songs, and, in front of 20 people, in front of that, the beautiful skyline of Chicago. I had a lot of musicians who were very grateful for that. And at that point, I started, people were asking me how they could, support me. And I said, I want you to support Civil, which is the Chicago Independent Venue League, all the local, all the local venues that are all independently owned, and, they're all small businesses, and that's the building blocks of America, and, throw support behind them. And so they could, so their employees could stay employed and get a check. And so that was, it built from there. I'd have one person out, and someone else would call me and say, hey, Lawrence, I saw Lawrence was out at the lakefront. Can I come out and play for you? And so, and that turned into, a pretty joyous time at the lake.
One of the things that I do like I do like a lot of your content and whatnot, but one of the things I appreciate the most is when you start the videos off and say, today is, what's today? February 1st. And, X amount of years ago, so-and-so came out with this record, and you give a little bit of history on that. and then you do the jump into it. I think that that's really cool stuff that I appreciate about your content. So I'm happy I had the opportunity to tell you about that.
Yeah.
What's been kind of your favorite, musician that you've been able to call out, or artist or band or whatnot that you've been able to call out on one of your jumps?
Yeah, I mean, it started with John Langford, who has been in Chicago for, close to 30 years now. He's originally from Wales, and he was game for it, and he came out several times. But on day 365, it was pretty special. It had Max Crawford from who's the trumpet player in Poi Dog Pondering came out, and then Jeff Tweedy from Wilco came out and played, and then Steve Albini from Shellac and Big Black played, and then John Langford ended the day. So it was just an amazing the city of Chicago wanting to help, and when I asked them, I didn't know. It's like, okay, I don't know what the weather's going to be like or who's going to be there. And, they were all happy to, support the cause. And, we raised a decent amount of money for civil and the Chicago clubs. And so that's what, in the big picture of it all, that little bit of joy that I was getting jumping in the lake became amplified by the musicians being out there.
Yeah.
So is that Steve Albini, the producer of like Nirvana and stuff like that? We're talking about that Steve Albini?
Yes, and
Wow.
Steve came out with a 16-string guitar, which I'd never seen, and it was also his first solo performance. He'd never played without a band.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Some massive pull, Dan.
So when was the moment where you were like, hold on a minute, what I'm doing right now, like this is kind of like becoming more of a thing. You know what I mean? Like a thing, like it's not just just one man jumping into Lake Michigan. It's like people are asking me to sing for me while I jump into the lake, play for me while I jump. I'm getting all this this coverage from these articles and these blogs and these outlets and stuff. When was that moment where you're like, oh, okay, this is something significant?
Yeah, I mean, I think the build up to day 365, and the New York Times called me and said they wanted to cover it, and that the New York Times is is a big newspaper, and then it it printed on day 364, so the day before I was jumping in, and it was it was a full page article in New York Times about some middle-aged overweight guy in Chicago jumping in a lake. And but like I said, the reverberations of being in the New York Times was, my 88-year-old uncle was like, oh my God, you're in the paper. I'm a subscriber. And so, that became kind of a touchstone. And then there was a guy from the AP News who came out for day 365, and kind of the AP wire service. It kind of went worldwide. And one of the funniest things I saw was Indonesia didn't. It appears that newspaper did not want to pay for the photograph. So they had a cartoon rendition of me jumping in the lake. So that was pretty funny.
Wow. Across Indonesia, that's crazy.
I would say this is a really interesting story, and I've never. You might be surprised to know this, Dan, but I've never been on the New York Times. How?
I mean, that's the wrong one. That's the wrong player.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take this one.
I think I would say that sometimes messages in a big article like that, there's things you might not be able to get off, and messages that you really want to convey. So this is something that's very important to you, that you're very passionate about, and something that inspires others. But what's something about your journey throughout, jumping into Lake Michigan and other bodies of water that people don't know that you'd like to share with them?
I mean, I've said it a lot, and it's just been amazing for my mental health, and that's a personal thing, and just being a happier person and having a brighter outlook. Trying to raise 3 boys in the middle of a pandemic was challenging, and just trying to, like I said, have a positive attitude, and I think just having a positive mental attitude goes a long way. And I had great coaches when I was a kid growing up in high school and college, and my 2 football coaches in college and high school, they both preached having a positive mental outlook, and just you can envision it happening, and good things will happen.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Definitely. What's I know we spoke again on the phone previously, and you had told me a certain number that was how many days you've done it consecutively. What's the number at right now for days consecutively jumped into some body waters, whether it be like Michigan or a pond on the side of the road or something, anything like that? What's the number at right now?
It's over 1,300.
Wow.
Wow, 1,300.
So the year 4 party at the lakefront will be on June 15th, 2024.
No way, really?
Yeah.
Are we invited?
Yes, you are. And,
Love it.
And
Love
all of the fans.
What's the date again, Dan?
June the 15th, Saturday the 15th of June.
Oh, okay. And so tell us more about that. Have you started, are you working with your family or with like some close colleagues or friends to like plan things out for that day? Or is it just sort of everybody show up and just hang out?
Pretty much the latter. My friends Kevin and Maria have a popcorn machine. So they've brought out a popcorn machine in the last few years. So I will ask them again to do that. And my friend Barbecue Bob has cooked pulled pork. Last year, the first year we went through 60 pounds of pulled pork in an hour and a half. So there was a lot of people there, and just have some music out there, and have some food, and have a good time. Enjoy the beautiful lakefront that we have here in Chicago.
Definitely, for sure. What's the where like with what you do as Great Lake Jumper, what's one body of water that you haven't jumped into that you would like to jump into? That's a question that we have.
Sure. I would like to jump in Crater Lake in Oregon. It's the deepest lake in America.
Ooh, that sounds a little scary, Dan.
I'm not going down to the bottom, but, or hopefully not if I have my flotation coat on.
Yeah, everyone needs a flotation coat, but I don't think anyone could have a flotation coat as cool as yours.
Thank you.
Where do you draw the limits? Do you look at the ocean and you're like, nah, the sea, you're like, I am the Great Lake Jumper. I will never jump in the
I will never fear a body of water.
I've last November, I was in Washington, D.C., and I learned that it is illegal to jump in the Potomac River within the District of Columbia. So I drove up the road a little bit and jumped in Maryland. But probably the swiftest current that I've been in is the Fox River up in McHenry. And I jumped off I was at my son's baseball tournament, and I think it was Cary Grove. And I just, found some random place to jump in, and it was pretty swift. So I was trying to swim against the current back to get out, and yeah. So the Fox River.
Yeah, that's yeah, currents are actually pretty scary. Like I remember I went to travel to Puerto Rico with my girlfriend, and I remember that we went up to the El Yunque rainforest, and they have like these natural like slides that kind of like exist over like in the forest and stuff like that. And well, basically you ride these slides down into like a little I don't know how to say it, but it's like these little bodies of water, you know what I mean? And just, you know, I actually hit a current with one of them, and it freaks the hell out of you. What's been like a moment when in your jumps that it's been like, oh shit, like this, you know, this is a little scary, or is that threw you off a little bit?
You know, I've judged it to be too dangerous on numerous occasions out at Montrose. If the waves are coming north, it can be very rough coming up onto the cement. So jumping off of there. So I've definitely gone into the harbor numerous times, and you know the harbor's a little more protected, and because it's protected, you know there's some friends who go in out there, and the harbor is got more ice than the lake does right now. And my friend Silvio has been playing in the ice over there in the harbor for the last week or so, where out in the open water there's no ice. So
I see.
you know, probably I jumped off a houseboat in Woods Hole, Massachusetts. My friend's like, "Oh, I got yeah, I have access to this houseboat. It's got like it's like a 20-foot dive." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I did a flip off of there, and it wasn't quite a 1.5. And I kind of went in sideways. I thought
Ooh.
I thought I bursted my eardrum.
Ooh.
And then the next day, my whole torso was bruised.
Ooh.
So little black and blue. But besides that, I got a little bit of frostbite last year on my finger and thumb. And just about 10 days after that, it shed the skin. And, you know, it's a little more tender, but not that bad.
Just yet another scar on the unbreakable body of Dan, the Great Lake jumper. I love it. I love it.
Well, I've had a lot of people ask me about tattoos, and I don't have any. I have scars.
I like that. Would you ever jump off an Olympic-sized diving board?
Sure. Yeah, bring it on.
Does that put the fear of God inside you, or not for Dan O'Connor?
No, I mean, I remember as a kid, going to and they had a separate pool just for diving boards. And, I think I did about 2 revolutions, not 2.5. I remember going up to Phil's Beach. I don't know if you guys know what Phil's Beach is, up in Wakanda, during high school. And it's in the Blues Brothers movie where they got that old police car and they got the speaker on top of the car, and they're running along the beach, or they're driving along the beach trying to invite people to the show that night. But it was crazy. It was probably 20 feet high, and they had this big slide on it. And, I'm sure the insurance companies, set a premium so high that they couldn't pay that. So, but yeah, going there in high school and, doing, 1.5s off 20 feet high was quite a rush.
Definitely. That's how you get your kicks.
I guess, I can, when I started doing the flip, I said, all right, I can still do it. And then I kind of turned into a thing. I thought people were getting tired of just me jumping in the lake, and so that's when I started bringing out, my vinyl records, and I thought the an LP was good visuals, and since then, I've picked up a lot of 45s over the last couple of years, and just trying to tie it in. And my history professors, I was a history major in college, so my history professors would be very happy that I'm still using history on a day-to-day basis.
Definitely, for sure.
I want to ask you a couple Chicago related questions, specifically with the food. What is Dan's favorite pizza in Chicago?
All right. The best pizza I've had recently was Millie's Pizza in the Pan.
Okay. I haven't heard of it. I'm going to check it out.
It is on Argyle Street in It's right on Sheridan. And it's amazing. I love that. I love a lot of pizza in Chicago. Peace Pizza is always is great.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of Bartoli's. I
love Bartoli's. Yes.
I recently had a thin crust, well done sausage and pepperoni.
Oh, my man.
and it was amazing. It was amazing. So
yeah. Bartoli's is really good. You could tell that their food is fresh.
Yeah. No, and I was amazed how many people were working there. It's not that big of a place, but they got a lot of people back there working. So, but yeah, I think there's so many good pizza places in Chicago. Just outside the city limits in Niles, big fan of Barnaby's. And that's a great pizza with the cornmeal crust. So George's Deep Dish Pizza up in Edgewater is pretty amazing. I took my sons there this summer, and we get there, and there's like 4 tables, and we're like, okay, what's going on here? And then you look at the menu, and it's like the hours are from 4:30 till sold out.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing with Millie's. If you're ever gonna get any Millie's Pizza in the Pan, order at like 9 a.m.
Yeah.
And you can schedule the exact time that you pick it up.
I feel like we should I should probably clip some of these things about Bartoli's and stuff. I'll send it to Bartoli's. Say, hey, we did this awesome promo for you on the Sweats and Steve show. Hey, throw us a bone. Give us a shout out. So scratch our back. We scratch your back. Scratch ours. Am I right?
Next time you come to the house, Sweats, you gotta. I'll get you Bartoli's. It's really fucking good, dude.
Oh, definitely. I feel like you and because Steve is a foodie. Steve is a foodie man. Okay, and I feel like whenever he gets on the topic of food, if you can just vibe with him, especially since you're Chicagoan, so it's places that are relevant to us. Like you can I think there's a very strong connection. You're on the same page. You're on the same wavelength.
Well,
all right, Dan.
Steve, that begs the question that if you're a foodie, when you were boxing, I mean, were those clashing of two worlds of trying to get these rich, beautiful dinners and trying to keep weight?
I took boxing very seriously back in the day. I would wake up, I would have oatmeal for breakfast, coffee. I'd have like fruit in between throughout the day. I'd have just it's funny. My friends would say I had very sad looking chicken strips that had no seasoning on them. I'd have like broccoli and some quinoa or some rice. And then I would drive my parents crazy because I would eat just a can of tuna for dinner every day, 6 days a week. That's what I would do. And then on Sundays is when I would go out and I'd eat one time whatever I wanted, or I'd eat chicken salads on like Saturdays and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was very dedicated to it. But since I've been done boxing, I pull that pin. Oh no. And like people I might still box, and it doesn't look good right now because I just haven't done anything in January. I might still box in March if I can somehow get the willpower. But yeah, I was very dedicated back then. Since then, no, pull the pin. I'm not doing it.
So when you were competing in the Golden Gloves, where were you fighting at?
Sam Kelowna.
Okay.
So I was at 8 count with I forgot those guys' names. Carlos and what's the other guy's name? I can't remember. I know his face. But I used to fight with this guy named Carlos, Joe Ruiz, and then there's this whole backstory of like figuring out what, gym I needed to fight out of. I selected, Sam Kelowna, of course. And then I did fight out of Sam Kelowna's gym. Are you a big boxing enthusiast?
No, I went to the Golden Gloves once, and it was at St. Andrews on Addison Street, and
yeah,
it was a rip-roaring good time.
Yeah, it's a good time. Yeah, if you ever want to just hang out, to anyone out there, if you ever just want to hang out and have a good time in Chicago, go to the Golden Gloves fight, which starts at like next month.
Yeah, and where do they hold it now? Is it in Cicero still now?
Cicero Stadium. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I was the headline for what I fought, and not because just on accident, because I was like the second to last fight. And I was like the only good fight of the night, apparently. So I ended up in on accident becoming the best fight, like the headline of the night. I think the fight after me just went like 2 minutes or some shit like that. But my fight was I'll have to find it and share it with everyone, but it was very enthusiastic and whatnot.
Yeah, we have to give Dan a new reason to go to another Golden Gloves fight. You need to fight in March, Steve. Clean Nation wants it. Everybody wants to see Steve. This is gonna be Rocky Balboa. You start from Rocky 1, the original one, to Rocky Balboa. You're a little rusty, but it's okay. You're gonna throw on the gloves one more time just for the Gipper, just for Dan.
I've done jack shit all January. I don't want to make this about me because I know we got Dan here, but I was sick like all fucking January, dude, and like I've done nothing. I haven't hit the bag. I haven't worked out. No cardio. Nothing. It does not look good. Maybe next year Golden Gloves, but yeah, it doesn't look good. Does not look good right now. Anyway, Dan, let's talk about hot dogs, okay?
All right.
Best hot dog in the city. Which one you got?
I'm a big fan of French fries and Red Hot Ranch. Consistently delivers on the fries.
Yes, absolutely.
Great hot dog as well.
Yeah.
Real quick, I just want to give a shout out to some of our viewers right now. Shout out to Courtney. She says, "Hey, Dan the man." Also a shout out to our official assistant here on the show, my sister Mickey. She says, D for Dan. There you go. Also, shout out to my friend Kaiju. He said, the secret is in the tuna. I don't know what that means. But what's going on, Kaiju? Thank you for everyone for tuning in. I appreciate it. If you're liking the stream so far, make sure to like and share the stream out if you could. Dan, you having a good time so far with this?
Yeah, having a great time.
Hell yeah, we love to hear it. We got some more questions for you, though.
All right.
We got some more questions for you, though. Okay. Steve, maybe we should hit. Dan isn't familiar with our shower thoughts. Well, your shower thoughts.
Okay, I got a couple.
Do you want a more natural? Okay, do you want a more natural way into it, or do you just want to go off it?
I'll go off it.
Oh, okay. Here you go.
Ice skating.
Yeah, there you go.
Ice skating is walking in cursive.
Oh, say that again.
Ice skating is walking in cursive.
So that's since you're new here, Dan, you're not familiar, but Steve likes to have his moments throughout the show called shower thoughts.
Thought-provoking ideas.
Amongst all the laughter, amongst all the jokes, we like to have thought-provoking ideas that Steve himself thought up in the shower. He did not go onto Reddit to search them up. He did not do any of that stuff. He literally just thought of them with his mind in the shower.
Reddit comes here to get my shower thoughts.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I love ice skating, and I don't do it a lot. But when I was a kid, when we had a consistent winter, my father used to flood the backyard. No no boards, nothing. Just he'd be out there with the hose and just flooding the backyard. So, and that's where I learned to skate, and yeah, I still love skating.
Yeah,
Definitely. Is that where you learn how to belly flop too? Do you ever just go on the ice and just kind of slide on it?
I got plenty of protection there.
I had a question. Oh, okay. We have another shot with that. Hold on.
being an adult is eating the crust, not because you like it, but because you paid for it.
I actually agree with that a lot. If you get a little nice patch of sauce with the crust, I think that's a good way to down the crust as well. I like that one. The question that I had for you, Dan, was obviously I'm sure you're aware of the polar plunge that goes on in the city every year. Do you partake in the polar plunge yourself? I mean,
I have never partaken in the polar plunge.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and for the simple fact that I found a great spot out at Montrose, right next to the bird sanctuary, where it's cement and water and a ladder. So I like the full body immersion at once. And so for the polar plunge, it's walking in step by step, getting deeper, and and then there's sand.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's more agonizing.
As I've gotten older, there's more crevices for sand to end up. So I prefer no sand.
Well, I asked that because it's like, I feel like, what they do for the polar plunge is pretty exceptional. But I feel like if you were to partake in the polar plunge, you would be like, it'd be like a NBA rookie draft versus Michael Jordan, because you do it so much. Okay.
Yeah. So I want to give a shout out to one of the polar plunge teams, Eileen In. I met them last year, and they've been doing it for 5 years, and they've raised over $318,000 for Special Olympics Chicago. Oh. And they're just really exceptional people, and doing great work, and supporting a great cause. So I'm all for the polar plunge. It's just I haven't done it.
Right. Well, shout out Eileen. Yeah.
That's awesome.
For sure.
It makes me feel bad because I'm just over here doing shower thoughts.
Oh,
you don't have to feel bad.
We all wear different shirt sizes, but we all have the same sized hangers.
I never thought about that. That's a good one.
I don't get it. I think the clothes should come with hangers.
So another question that we had for you, Dan.
I was confused on that one, Steve. I thought you said cankers. Not hangers. All right.
Well, another question that we had for you is more pertinent to our history here on the show. Last year we partook in a paranormal investigation. Yes, I know. Very exciting stuff. I'll go ahead and pull it up on the screen here. But it's I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's a place called Bachelor's Grove. It's in Midlothian, Illinois, one of the suburbs. And we did an investigation there, and inside the lot, inside the surrounding area, there is a pond, a swamp. I want to see if I could scroll and show you the swamp. What my question would be is if you would jump into this swamp. Now this swamp,
yeah.
I don't know how you go ahead, Steve. Explain a little bit more.
Yeah, the thing about the swamp is, Dan, is that apparently Al Capone threw dead bodies in this swamp. I don't know if there's any dead bodies in there now. So I just want to put full disclosure out there.
So the swamp is a little haunted, perhaps. So we can't really see that well on the video here. But would you partake in jumping into this haunted swamp? I mean, because you are a thrill seeker. Okay, we've established that.
Yeah, I'm mildly interested. I just want to make sure that there's that it's deep enough.
Oh, it's deep enough. Steve,
I don't know if it is. I really don't know if it is. That's a good
the
point.
legend.
I don't want to, run into a tree stump
Oh yeah.
2 feet under the water.
So-
But my wife and oldest son, are way into ghost hunters and the paranormal. So I see it in passing, and because it's not really my thing. So when they're watching it, I'm leaving the room.
Wait, is it something that you more have an aversion to? Does it kind of frighten you, or is it just not? You don't have any interest in it?
No interest. It doesn't frighten me.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I gave up cable right before the pandemic happened, and I have a hard time turning on the TV because the kids have it connected through some joystick or some PS4 or I don't know what it is, and so I have a hard time turning on the TV. So I don't really watch much TV anymore.
Well, that's a very interesting answer that you say, because this man right here wasn't much of a believer. It didn't really interest him, but something about Bachelor's Grove turned him. It changed him. I'll say that. Would you say that, Steve?
I still don't believe in ghosts.
Right, but if you're actually looking at the screen right now, there was a moment. We had moments where you blacked out.
Let's make this about Dan and not Bachelor's Grove.
This is about Dan, not Bachelor's Grove, but
I wrote it down, so I will. I'll keep it on my hit list.
Okay. Well,
I know you had mentioned about dangerous places and going. The ultimate challenge is the Minnesota series, which would be 27.5 lakes a day for 365 days straight. The land of 10,000 lakes.
Is that the next challenge that you're setting yourself up for?
Well, I think it's there's a lot of logistics that got to go on there because I've spent a little bit of time in Minnesota, and there's a lot of private land with lakes on it. So there would have to be a lot of coordination and a lot of
holy moly,
logistics.
I just Googled it, and
yeah. So it's there's places in Ireland that I'd like to go that I've heard great things about. But yeah, I mean, I did when I was out in Massachusetts, I did the 6 New England states in one day, 540 miles. I jumped in a stream, I jumped in a pond, I jumped in the ocean. And I'm sure there was a more efficient way to do it, but that's the route I took.
Mm-hmm.
And Maine and New Hampshire, I had friends there, and they both took me to bridges about 15, 20 feet high, which was pretty awesome.
Interesting. Very interesting. So outside of what you do with your jumps, what does Dan like to do outside of that? What are some of the escapades? Where do you fancy throughout the city? Like, what do you like to do outside of your jumps?
I'm pretty big fan of high school basketball.
Okay.
So my 3 sons all played basketball and CPS, and just I've always enjoyed that. And I see a lot of music, a lot of rock and roll.
So I noticed on Twitter you had posted that you have a DJ set coming up.
Yes.
Like, so you're actually, is it like the old school way where you have the records and you're scratching and that sort of thing? Is that how you DJ?
I will be DJing with vinyl, LPs and 45s. I will be playing records.
Oh, okay.
There will be no scratching.
I think it would be pretty cool actually to see Dan throw down just scratching the records. That would be pretty cool.
Well, so when I started dedicating the records, I started trying to seek out finding new albums and new 45s. So I've collected a whole bunch in the last few years, and I reached out and got myself booked for a DJ gig, an afternoon gig. So, and they asked me, they said, why this specific day? And I said, because it's the day before the Super Bowl.
So right. Your time is to be occupied with that.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, I have it here up on the screen in case anybody is interested. Kind of gets a little cut off there, but it's going to be let's see,
a week from Saturday, February the 10th, at the G-Man Tavern at 3750 North Clark, and it's 2 p.m. to 5 o'clock.
Nice, very interesting. I might have to get down there myself and show some support.
Yeah. a daytime gig.
Perhaps I might have to call off work just to see.
How about you, Sweats? Are you DJing these days?
I guess I wouldn't say DJ, but I am an artist. I make music, electronic music. I put out an album last year, and I'm currently working on the next album. I've been an artist since 2018, roughly.
All right.
And still going strong. And we had talked about on the phone as well that maybe, perhaps we could do something, because you had mentioned that you had artists come out and serenade you as you jump. Perhaps we might have to do a Sweats and Great Lake Jumper collaboration where I will sing my heart out just for you, my friend. You go into the water, you brave the icy waters of Lake Michigan.
Oh, I do.
Steve will do a shower.
You'll be sitting there eating a can of tuna.
or in reverse, it's Steve will spout off shower thoughts as you jump in.
It feels like I'm going to get overshadowed here. We got the splashes of the water, we got the music, and then here I am whispering. Have you ever seen A Brand New Rock? That's not going to happen.
There's lots of things. The mind just can't comprehend how many ideas there are out there for sure. But yeah, I think that would be really cool to do at some point for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, today was even not that bad. It was actually 50 degrees, if you could believe it or not.
It was a beautiful sunrise this morning. First time seeing that in a couple weeks, and beautiful colors. I got there as the sun was rising, so the colors were 10 minutes before then were pretty amazing.
When I was doing my morning walk, I saw a squirrel putting sunblock on its nuts. It was that nice.
Well, it was 30. I don't know what time you got up, Steve, but it was 38 degrees when I was down at the lakefront.
Oh man, that was funny. What else would we have to ask you? So when you walk throughout the city, when you're just going about your day, do like a lot of people just recognize you? So, oh hey, you're the jumper guy, the lake jumper guy. Do you get a lot of that when you're out and about?
Not a lot. Once in a blue moon.
Don't be modest now, Dan.
No, it's from people I know, but not really too many randos coming at me.
And another interesting thing that since you started and stuff, like you have somewhat of a following, and that people that follow you and what you do, like how has that have you had people like what's been the most significant things where someone has said, hey, what you do now like inspired me to do this, and it really helped me out a lot. What, like, without, you don't have to share any personal details or anything like that, but what was like one moment where someone had like confided in you and said, hey, what you do is important to me, thank you for doing it? Did you ever have a moment like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've had several. I mean, there's now a group who jump in, and it's not, hey, we're going to be here every morning at 7 o'clock, but there's people. There'll probably be on Fridays is usually a big day, and there'll probably be 10 or 15 people out at the lakefront tomorrow morning at 7 o'clock, jumping in. And I think a lot of people have discovered, and I never heard the word Wim Hof before I was jumping in the lake for months on end, and I still haven't spent much time with Wim Hof.
What is Wim Hof?
Wim Hof is I believe he is Norwegian, and he is just this cold water guru, and he just has kind of all the facts and figures about what's great about immersing yourself in cold water, and the endorphin rush, and cleaning out your system, and you can live a healthier life through through water immersion. There's people that down at the lakefront who I know, who I'm friends with now, who stay in the water this time of the year for 5 minutes. I'm in for about not 5 seconds, but I'm in for about 15 seconds. So I like to flip in the water and then get back to the ladder. And
this is gonna sound like a complete joke, and it's absolutely not, because I was watching this show with William Shatner earlier, and it was called The Unexplained on Netflix. I don't have much to do throughout the day, so I just watch random shows with William Shatner. And Wim Hof was on it. I was watching the episode with Wim Hof earlier. I swear to God, I was. This is so fucking crazy.
Well, you want to hear something crazy? Yeah. I lived in New York in the late 90s, and I interviewed William Shatner. I sat in a room with him. And it is an amazing head of hair.
What?
It's not an original issue, but it is an amazing head of hair that he's sporting.
Well, wait, so there's a lot to unpack there. What?
Interconnectedness of this.
It's the lattice of coincidence that lays over everything.
Oh, say that again, Dan. Hold on, I'm going to give you
That's a shower thought.
Say that again.
It's the lattice of coincidence that lays over everything.
Oh, nice.
And that's from a 1985 movie called Repo Man, and it's an amazing movie.
You could have just said that you made that up yourself, and I would have totally believed you.
Is that with who's Repo Man with? I know I've seen it.
It's Emilio Estevez, Harry Dean Stanton. Yeah. I think those are basically the two big people in it.
I know I've seen that movie.
Yeah, it's classic in my world.
So going back to what you're saying, because there's a lot to unpack there. Okay, so you lived in New York the late 90s. Did you live in New York all the way up since were you born in New York? You lived in there till then, and then you moved to Chicago? Like, explain that.
Yep. No, I grew up in northern Cook County. And then after college, I moved into the city and was in the city. And then I took a job in New York City, and I moved out there, and I said I wanted to be there for 5 years, and then take my Manhattan salary elsewhere. And I was there for about 4.5 years. And I worked at a magazine, and I was working on the launch of their website. And William Shatner had done a project with Ben Folds, and so they needed someone to interview William Shatner, and I guess I drew the short stick.
Well, I think that'd be a good short stick to grab to talk to an interesting guy like that. What was it like?
Yeah, he was pretty interesting. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard any of William Shatner's music. It is the last record he put out is probably like 2008, and it's mind blowing. He's talking all about death and how he's gonna die and everyone's gonna die, and all these people who died, and he's like 91 now. Yeah. So if you it's on the streaming services. So it's yeah, and he does a lot of covers of like he covers Pulp, Common Man, and yeah. So Shatner's an interesting dude. I don't think I've ever seen a full episode of Star Trek. I think he was on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, the TV thing, I don't know if I really ever spent much time with it.
Well, you're a music man. Well, how would you rate his music? Is it really your cup of tea, or is it not really your thing?
I think it's amazing. It's more of kind of spoken word, and he's a great actor. So he's willing to take do the next take
Definitely.
to get it right, to get it perfect. And he's got this song with Henry Rollins, and they kind of are going back and forth complaining about things, and it's really great. It's called I Can't Get Behind That.
I can't get behind that. Interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of revelations going on here tonight. I must say so myself. Is there any well, I'll put it like this. You're a pretty interesting man, Dan, if I do say so myself. What has been it? I mean, I guess it could be other celebrities that you haven't told us about or anything like that. What has been some of the more interesting people that are interesting to you that you've come across?
My wife.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Shout out to your wife.
Yeah.
That's the right answer for any married man. Uh-oh. You still there, Dan? Oh, he might have his phone.
And it wasn't from the wife complaining I didn't say her name fast enough. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
We're here.
Yeah, I just blacked out there for a minute. But that's definitely a good answer. Any other interesting people that you met along your journeys, your escapades?
Lost touch.
Yeah, can you still hear us?
I've lost touch with you guys.
Yeah, I think there's a little lag. There might be a little lag. Hello?
Sweats. Steve.
I'm here. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us, Dan? Let me see.
I'll tell you what. I'll do shower thoughts while you maybe
okay
try to reconnect with him.
All right.
Shower thoughts. Did you know the world is actually not getting any less unsafe? It's just the older we get, our childlike innocence wears off, and the worse the world appears. That was a tongue twister. Shower thoughts. Everything in the universe is either pizza or not pizza. Don't laugh like it's not true. I can still hear you
me
laughing.
saying my wife is the most interesting person broke the internet. I can't hear anything. Can't see anything.
Oh, you can't see anything?
Still?
Yeah, I don't know if he can hear us right now.
Do you want to maybe call him? And then
let me if I were to kick him,
or my time limit went off.
Let me see. I might have to remove him real quick. Let me see. All right, hold down the fort real quick.
I got you. I got a couple more here.
All right.
We don't know what the most successful lie is because it is still being believed. Shower thoughts. It's funny that birthdays make us feel old, but New Year's doesn't have that same effect. Where's Waldo would be a lot scarier if Waldo was the one searching for you. Complete just disclaimer. This next one's a little insensitive. Shower thoughts. A selfie taken by an orphan is actually a family photo. Shower thoughts. January is the only month that can be next week, next month, and next year. I'd also like to say fuck off, January. Worst month of my life. Last one I got. There is no off position onto Genius Switch. All right.
Can you hear us, Dan?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, beautiful.
We're back. Awesome.
Everyone questions like shower thoughts and whatnot, and like I just want to say that's the epitome of having something in the back pocket. Imagine if you were just sitting there for the last 2 minutes trying to like, well, what do I do now? Like, we had something in the back pocket to entertain you. I don't think we get enough appreciation for that, Sweats.
Yeah, I think so too. I think we're slept on. They sleep on us, Steve.
Yeah. Take some Dramamine. Stop taking the Dramamine.
Yeah, but one thing that an interesting thought that I had, that I guess I meant to say before, like more toward the beginning of the show, was that you had said that you had started doing your jumps during the lockdowns and stuff like that. Well, for me and Steve, the show started in the lockdown as well. So, and it was just sort of like it was gonna be like a one-off thing. Steve had mentioned like, oh, let's just get on a live stream, let's just do something, let's just watch scary videos on YouTube. And then it kind of like one thing led to another, and we kind of like made a whole show about it. And I think there's something that is, for a lot of people that was a bad time. Obviously you said before it was a rough time for yourself, and for a lot of people, but just how through the bad time, certain things were created and things were started that, after the bad time comes, like you have this new thing to like guide you, to be with you through life and stuff like that. And I think there was, it's just something profound about that. Do you ever stop to think like, do you ever just have moments to yourself where you just think that this one moment where your wife just kind of gave you this, was she serious though? Was she actually serious about you jumping out, or was she surprised when you actually did?
No, I mean, I always liked the lake and the water, so I think she just wanted me to get out of the house for a little bit, and so she suggested I go jump in the lake. So that is what I did, and it's turned out to be a really positive part of my life now.
Would you say that it changed your life in a better way?
Yeah. Oh, completely. I think just having a more positive outlook, and just leading by example to the youngins around here that you can have a positive outlook and kind of make things happen because of that.
Mm-hmm. And so, like, let's say that you get to 100, Dan. That you get to 100. Are you still jumping into the lake at 100?
Yeah, I think I am. If I can get down there and got the strength to get in and out. Yeah.
That's okay, Steve. If Dan can jump into the lake at 100, You could get into the Golden Gloves at, I don't know.
There's a big difference. There's a big difference.
I'm not getting punched in the nose.
Yeah. Like, I'm a father now. Like, it's not about, listen, dude, it's not about me not wanting to do it. It's just that, I don't have the same bandwidth I did 10 years ago. If I had the same bandwidth, I would absolutely do it. But,
So there's people who I know are down, going in the lake, and they don't jump in. They just descend on the ladder. And some of them don't leave the ladder. They just kind of hang on the ladder and, get that peace and that calm and, kind of meditation, through being in the water.
Okay. We have a question. We have a question from a viewer. Shout out to Jake. He asks, why is Dan's wife the most interesting person if he feels like sharing?
If I may, I don't want to answer for Dan, but Jake is a newly married man, so I think he's asking for marriage advice right now, Dan.
Oh, it's a Jake, by the
way. Well, she's definitely smarter than me, and she doesn't take any crap, and she's an amazing mom, and just has a lot of great ideas. She was the one that told me to go jump in the lake. She was the one that told me to have musicians come and serenade me into the lake, and those two things have really turned my life around and made living more exciting and more positive experience for me.
Awesome. Love that answer.
Jake, did you take notes there, Jake? Okay. How many years you been married, Dan?
23 years.
Okay, Jake, I think you, if you strive for 23 years, Jake, you better clip this and rewind it when Mickey's giving you a hard
time. So a few more questions as we start to kind of wind down the interview a little bit. Where do you see yourself and your jumps? Where would you like to be in the next 5 years? Whether it be just going to some of the locations, the bodies of water that you want to jump into, maybe shooting, and for that, some world record, Guinness World Record for amounts of days consecutively jumped into water. What are some of the goals, I guess you could say, or future aspirations for you going forward, Dan?
If I could go in the water every day, I will. And, it's just, there's, this positive awakening almost every day, and just kind of that renewal of, why we're here. We're here to live, and, live as much as you can.
When you say positive awakening, what do you mean by that?
Just, that amazing feeling, just hitting the water, and that endorphin rush through your body, because it is a shocking experience jumping in 33-degree water, and your body unleashes this hormone, an endorphin rush, and it tries to protect your body because it is being immediately, surrounded by cold water. And it's just I found it's an amazing way to start the day, and it just really is just a supercharge to start my day, and I hope to be able to do it for the rest of my life.
Definitely. So you would believe that Wim Hof and like things like that, like there is a definite, have you felt within your body that there, I mean, other than the therapeutic effects, like how you're mentioning with these endorphins and stuff, do you believe that there's a definite health benefit to plunging yourself in cold water, whether it be just for a jump or bathing in it and something like that?
I mean, anecdotally, for me, it's been really great mentally. Just, a cleansing, kind of start the day fresh. And, for other people, it's really been really healthy. And, there's a lot of different people down at the lakefront who are, doing these cold water plunges and, swimming in the cold lake. And everyone has their own reasons, their own personal reasons for doing it. But like I said, it continues to feel good for me. It is something that's easy. And I mean, I don't want to say easy because in the winter it is tough, but you put your mind to it and you can do it.
Definitely, definitely. And is there anything that you would say if you were to like either talk to someone else or even talk to the version of yourself before you started the jumps, what would you say to yourself how you are now? Does that make sense?
Yeah, just that there is some zen down at the lake. There is some peace. There is a lot of positivity that you can go find there. And if that's what you're searching for, then it's there. It's there for the taking. And it's you're not it's easy to obtain. Just go do it.
Wonderful. I love it. So poetic. So poetic. I love it. Thank you for that, Dan. Steve, do you have any other questions for Dan?
No, if I do come down, and this is going to get everyone to be like, yeah, Steve, go ahead and do it, because that's how everyone talks. If I do come down and watch you, Dan, am I allowed to jump in the water with you?
Whoa. Yeah. Anytime. Anytime. And I think that's, I've had a million people, not a million, but a lot of people ask me, oh, can I come? Yeah. It's like, you're free to come jump in the lake. It's a great experience. The big thing to do is when you jump in and then your head pops above the water, breathe. Just take a big breath. I think a lot of people freeze up because it is so cold, and you just have to remind them, just take a deep breath. It's going to be all right.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I have these Apollo Creed swim shorts that just makes everyone feel awkward. And I would wear those. I would wear those to do a dive with you. And two, it's kind of awkward if we have this reunion on Montrose Harbor, which I love the dog beach over there, Dan.
Yeah.
By the way, I think that's one of the best dog beaches in the world, if I'm not mistaken, one of the top 10 or something like that.
Yeah, because you can park right next to it too.
Oh yeah.
Right? Yeah. Nice parking.
And I think it'd be awkward if we have this meeting of the three of us and Dan's jumping and Sweats is rapping and I'm just standing there like, does anybody have an elote? Like I would need to do something. So yeah.
I'm suggesting a tin whistle.
A tin whistle. What is a tin whistle?
It's just kind of a metal tube that you blow into, and it's got portholes at the top that you.
Okay. Like I just sit there and do it.
Yeah. I think it's pretty easy to pick up. I think is what I was trying to say. Or maybe one of those, like, I don't know it's got the slide in it. It makes kind of whirly gig noises.
Yeah.
Play one of those.
I'm gonna
or not.
I'm gonna hold my cousin to task though. So Steve, you mean to tell me right now that you would actually jump in with Dan into Lake Michigan? Is that what you're saying to me right now?
Yeah, not anytime soon. Not in like the winter. I'm not built for that, but I'll definitely do it. I would do it over the summer for sure. I think it'd be fun.
Well, maybe that the gathering that you mentioned in June, that would be
I don't no. That's about Dan and his time and his people. I'm not gonna go in there and be like, guess what? I'm gonna do it. No, I would do it on like an off day like a random Wednesday. You know what I mean? Like,
All right.
So you wake up. What time do you wake up to go over to the lake, Dan?
Sometime in the 6 o'clock hour. Yeah. So, 6:30, and then get to the lake, get a cup of coffee brewed, and then go to the lake. So I'm usually at the lake at 6:45 to 7:15 is usually my window.
Okay.
do you lay out your stuff the night before, or is it the morning? Are you a morning of type of guy? And
I
if you're
mean,
yelling at it,
no, I mean, I've got 3 hoodies, and they don't really come apart. I come home from the lake and hang them up, and in the morning put them back on, and put on a pair of swim trunks, and then I have a robe that I wear out there, and that's about it.
again, I say this in jest, and I hope it comes over as funny, but this gives me sitcom vibes. I wish like this was a sitcom like Family Matters. You know what I mean? Like you go out to the lake, you come back, and then like your day picks up, and they follow you around. I think that this would be one of the best like shows out there.
All right, sure. When I said robe, I thought, I've had numerous people, it's like a big Lebowski robe,
Yeah.
and I have to inform them that I know the concept, but I have not seen the movie.
It's that
yeah.
That's a bad one to like. You got to watch that one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
The dude.
Yeah, I know conceptually what it's about, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, maybe going forward every now and then, maybe it's time to brush up a little bit on your movie acumen.
I saw 2 movies. I got a tooth pulled maybe a month ago, and so I had some time on the couch, and I watched 2 movies back to back. And The Wolf of Wall Street is too long, and Hidden Gems Hidden Gems, and that one's not that believable. So those are my quick takes on those 2 movies.
Okay, we're talking to the next Roger Ebert right here.
Nope. Nope.
Well, Dan, is there anything you want to plug? I know we mentioned the your DJ set coming up on Saturday. On Saturday, February. Here, let me fix this a little bit.
Yeah, it's Saturday, February 10th at the G-Man Tavern. I'm going to be DJing, playing records, a lot of the records that I've featured at the lakefront. And I'll be spinning from 2 in the afternoon to 5 in the afternoon. So come on by, have a drink, say hi.
Awesome.
And I really wanted to thank you guys for, having me on. This has been fun, talking to some real dudes.
Oh, thank you. We thank you for coming on to the show. It's been a blast. Do you also want to mention again what the gathering in June was what that was about?
Yeah, sure. My 4th annual 365 summer celebration. It'll be 4 years in a row of me jumping in Lake Michigan, and that'll be on Saturday, June the 15th.
Awesome. And any shout outs that you'd like to give?
A shout out to my wife, Marge. She's the best.
Shout out to Marge.
Put some M's in the chat.
Put some M's in the chat for Marge, please. If we can get that going before we end the show here. Yeah.
And my long-suffering children, Keith, Kale, and Shay. Thank you.
Awesome.
They're the ones that have to put up with me on a regular basis. So,
well, they have a very cool dad, so they just have to just do it. That's how it was in the old day. You just do it.
Sure.
I like how Dan answers just sure sometimes, just plain and sweet. But yeah, thank you again for coming on, Dan. It's been a real blast. Yeah, we'll definitely we'll be in contact and stuff, and about doing the jump and the serenade and stuff like that. And then I think it would be cool to join you in June for that fourth annual. And yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for coming on. And yeah, I hope you maybe we'll have to get you on again after the fourth annual and talk some more about the city.
Awesome. You guys have been great. Thanks a lot. Appreciate your
All right.
time.
Pleasure, Dan.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you, Dan.
All right.
Well, this has been episode number 54 of the Sweats and Steve Show. I'm your co-host, Sweats. This is your co-host, Steve. you saw the back of your head, Steve.
Have any
And
bald spots?
go ahead, put it back down. Better not, put it back up.
No. I have any or no? I'll watch it on the playback.
Okay. This has been episode number 54 of the Sweat and Steve Show. We will see you again next month. Go follow Dan as well. I'm gonna drop his social media in the chat as well. Make sure to go follow him and keep up to date with what he's got going on. And yeah, we will catch you on episode number 55. Stay tuned. Thank you all for the likes, the shares, the views. Thank you, Jake. Thank you, Mickey, Courtney, for watching, liking, and sharing. And let us know how you guys like the vertical video. If you like this, or would you rather go back to horizontal? We're just trying some new things here. But anyway, what's that?
I don't think I have bald spots. I think that's just the way my hair is.
Oh, okay, good.
Positioned right now.
Sure.
Yeah, Dan's gonna do some comedy, stand-up comedy soon after his DJ set. Watch. But we will catch you guys on the next one. I'm Sweats, he's Steve, and we will catch you guys later. And as always, bye guys.